And welcome to the City of Topeka Planning Commission meeting. We are a commission appointed by the mayor and city council to plan for the orderly growth and development of the community, to hold public hearings, and to make recommendations to the city council on planning items. Please note that the city council rules state that the public hearings for planning cases shall be conducted solely by the planning commission. No additional public hearings will be conducted by the city council. Tonight's cases are tentatively scheduled to be heard by the City Council next month. Agendas can be found at topeka.org. For cases that require public hearings, the procedures will be as follows. First, the planning department staff will summarize the case. Next, we will hear from the applicant or their representative. Then we will receive public testimony. Public comments should be addressed solely to the chair and are limited to 4 minutes. Chris, please take the roll.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mr. Dean.
Here.
Mr. Freed.
Here.
Ms. Herron.
Here.
Mr. Kanar.
Here.
Mr. Kelp.
Here.
Ms. Messina.
Here.
Ms. Ringler.
Here.
And Mr. Warner.
Here.
We have 9 present for a quorum.
All right, thank you. Item B on the agenda, approval of minutes, May 17th, 2021.
Mark Freed will move to approve. Corey Dean will second.
Motion and a second for approval. Chris, please take the roll.
Okay, I'm going to start backwards. Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Ms. Ringler.
Aye.
Ms. Messina.
Abstain.
Mr. Kelp.
Aye.
Mr. Kanar.
Aye.
Ms. Herron.
Aye.
Mr. Freed.
Aye.
Mr. Dean.
Aye.
And Mr. Armstrong.
Abstain.
All right, motion passes 7-0 with 2 abstaining.
Item C, declaration of conflict of interest.
So I guess everybody, we should say, if something happens and the meeting just drops, obviously everybody just needs to log back in. So that was a first. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Hall, we read item D1, the public hearing for 8-iron therapy. The floor is yours, sir, if you are back online and with us.
I am. I'll wait for the slides to come up. All right.
Am I sharing this correct screen, Mike?
That's correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so CU 2101 is a application for a conditional use permit by 8-iron therapy. 8-iron therapy is a business owned by Matthew and Sarah Vanderpool. What they're proposing is to occupy a lease space within the strip commercial center at the northwest corner of Southeast 29th and Croco Road, and use it for an indoor golf simulation entertainment venue and associated indoor recreation to include hitting and pitching practice. The simulated golf and accessory bar will occupy 2,400 square feet, and the baseball pitching and hitting practice will adjoin is in an adjoining 1,400 square foot lease space in the existing building. This involves a minor interior remodel only. No changes are proposed to the site or building exterior, and none are required or necessary. Next, please. The surrounding zoning and land use. To the west is C2 zoning, the Sonic Drive-In. To the north is mostly vacant. The church owns the property and there's a church building, zoned R1. To the east is outside city limits. The city limits are at Croco Road at that location. And on the east side of Croco Road, it's zoned R1 and it's a single family residential subdivision. Southeast is in city limits and is C2 commercial and occupied by Azura Credit Union. To the south is Lake Shawnee Recreation Area. It's zoned RR1 and it's outside city limits. Next, please. This is the land use and growth management plan, future land use map. This is in an area designated as a mixed use node. The existing mix of commercial uses in this building is very much consistent with the land use and growth management plan, future land use map, and the proposed use supports that desired mix of uses. It doesn't detract from it. If anything, it contributes to it in a positive way relative to the plan. Next slide, please. Staff is recommending approval subject to the statement of operations. There's a statement of operations that goes into pretty much to quite a bit of detail about the proposed use. It's attached to the staff report. The findings relative to the golden factors. The use complements the other uses in the building and will have an overall positive effect. The space being occupied has been vacant for at least 5 years. Occupancy by a local business is a positive outcome. If there's anything that could create some potential negative effect to other property owners and other businesses in the commercial center, it would be off-street parking if there's a lack of it. There really isn't. Not only is off-street parking sufficient to meet city standards, but it also, in fact, exceeds minimum required parking, but it also, the demand for parking for this business will be at a time when that's where demand for parking by the other businesses will not, there will be less demand at the same time. I guess what I'm trying to say is they have offsetting peak traffic demand and parking demand. There's a parking analysis in the staff report that goes into detail on this. I want to also say that the applicant conducted a neighborhood information meeting. They contacted everyone within 500 feet of the site, of the property. They all, in addition, the businesses in the commercial strip center were contacted and no objections were received that we are aware of. This is all seen as a pretty positive thing happening in the strip commercial center. And with that, I have no other comments, but we'll be happy to take questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, any question for staff? All right, hearing none, the chair will call for a presentation by the applicant. Or your representative. I think you're both on tonight. Anything you'd like to say to the commission about your development?
Hey, thanks for having us. I'm coming to you live from California. I'm a National Guard member, so I'm out here doing my annual training. I just want to say that, Sarah and I are really excited about serving the Southeast Topeka area. We live right there. Our kids go to Shawnee Heights Elementary. We've had nothing but positive feedback. And we're just, we feel it's an underserved part of Topeka. And it's going to bring an entertainment value, but as well an opportunity for golfers to come in and play year round. So we will be serving alcohol, but it's not a bar. It's a golf that happens to serve. It's a golf facility that happens to serve beer. But I think we've also put a plan in place to where when we have youth there, or we have family nights, that's going to be, it's not going to be an option. So, we have the community, I guess, at the center of what we want to do there. We love the community. Again, our kids go to Shez, and we're just looking for this opportunity. And if there's any questions about the facility, I'd be happy to answer them.
So I'll ask one, just informational one. Simulated golf, I'm assuming you're driving a ball against a screen and seeing a video of a course and watching it fly and play that way?
Absolutely. So the software is called E6. You are driving a real golf ball into an impact screen. The software then takes over. So you can be in a driving range mode where you see the trajectory. It gives you all the data within a few seconds after the shot. So, your trajectory, ball speed, club head data. And if you're playing a course, it's going to track that ball from the shot all the way to rollout, give you the distance. So, we envision league nights playing different courses. It's got access to over 100 courses. We'll feature the ones that the pros are playing that week if the software will allow it. From an entertainment value, it's really good software. It gives you all the metrics that a golfer needs to improve their game. And that's how we came up with the concept is, we'll put our clubs away in September and not bring them back out until sometimes April. So, like our slogan will say is golf year round.
Very cool. Commissioners? All right, hearing none, we will go ahead and open the public hearing. Chair will call for public comments. Each speaker, let us know that you would like to speak and your name. And at the conclusion of your comments, we'll have the commission with the opportunity to ask questions. Looking at the screen, I don't see anyone on, but was anyone here to speak to this agenda item that I'm not seeing? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. No further public comments. Commissioners, any discussion items? Yeah, I don't live on the southeast side, but I did work on the Croco Road and 29th Street projects surrounding that facility, and was always hoping it would build out into a entertainment area that everyone could appreciate. So I think it's a great use of that area and space, and look forward to it.
I also don't have any concerns.
Would consider a motion, commissioners?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Kanar. Given that I'm looking forward to it, I think it's in conformance with the golden factors. So based on the findings and analysis in the staff report, I move to recommend approval to the governing body of the conditional use permit CU2 2001, subject to the one condition.
This is Commissioner Dean. I second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Chris, will you please take the roll?
Okay, we'll go from the top down. Mr. Armstrong,
Aye.
Mr. Dean,
Aye.
Mr. Freed,
Aye.
Ms. Herron,
Aye.
Mr. Kanar,
Aye.
Mr. Kalp,
Aye.
Ms. Messina,
Aye.
Ms. Ringler,
Aye.
and Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thanks, Matt and Sarah, for joining us this evening.
Thanks.
Moving on to action item D2, P21/11 Horseshoe Bend number 6, final plat by RT Builders for 28 single-family residential lots on 7.5 acres located north of Southeast 45th Street, east of Southwest Topeka Boulevard, and along the south side of the Kansas Turnpike. Mr. Hull.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, these are two separate items in the agenda packet, and there's two separate final plats, but I'm going to present them in one presentation just because it just makes sense to do it that way. It's probably less confusing that way. So these two subdivision plats. They're final plats number 6 and number 7, Horseshoe Bend subdivision. Next slide, please. So these are the two final phases of Horseshoe Bend. Final plat number 6, Horseshoe Bend number 6 consists of 39 acres, 28 single family residential lots, a density of less than 4 dwelling units per acre. Number 7, actually 38.625 acres is not correct. That's a typo. Number 7 is 8.88 acres, 31 single family residential lots, 3.5 dwelling units per acre. The preliminary plat for Horseshoe Bend was approved in 2000. Approval of final plats number 6, number 7 require extension of preliminary plat because the preliminary plat expires after a year. It was extended in 2019 for approval of final plat number 5. So if this looks familiar, it's because you approved final plat number 5 in 2019. Next slide, please. This kind of explains a little better. This might be a little easier to read. So phases 6 and 7, or final plats 6 and 7, are not contiguous, and that's why they're separate plats. Phase 5 is right between them, as you can see. And this is all, the zoning for all of this is based on the Grand Oaks Plan Unit Development, which addressed phasing. It allowed for a substandard street rights of way, a 40-foot street rights of way instead of the standard of 60 feet. It also provides for a landscape plan for each building permit. So unlike just your typical subdivision, this one, the site plan has to include landscaping when they get a building permit. It's also connected to trails and open space. There's a publicly owned pond that was developed as part of this to the east, and there's also a connection to the Landon Trail on the west side of this. Next slide, please. And this is the preliminary plat, and this includes the 3 phases. Next slide. This is final plat for Horseshoe Bend subdivision number 6. Next slide. And this is the final plat for Horseshoe Bend subdivision number 7. And one thing I didn't really mention about this is provides housing that's kind of a critical need in the community. It's relatively affordable single family detached housing. And if you go out there, you can kind of see what it looks like. But that's the nature of this subdivision. Next slide, please. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks. Staff's recommending approval, recommending that you approve the subdivisions, the 2 subdivisions. You should act on them separately and forward them on to the city council, where the city council will consider to accept the lands dedicated for public purposes, the utility easements, and also the street rights of way. That's the role that the city council plays. Thank you.
Commissioners, questions for Mr. Hall? All right, I believe, Mr. Laubach, are you representing these topics tonight and for the RT developers?
Yes, Jeff Lawback, SBB Engineering. Mike Hall did a great job summarizing the two plats, number 6 and 7. And here, if you have any questions.
Yeah, I have one, Jeff. As Mr. Hall stated, the need for housing. What's the anticipated build out schedule for both 6 and 7? Is it build the infrastructure and try to fill out the houses all at the same time, or is it a slower process?
Well, they just got completed the early this year of Horseshoe Bend number 5. And I believe there was 33 lots with that phase. And they think they're going to run out of lots here before the end of the year. And so they're wanting to act as fast as they can to do 6 and 7, just so they don't run into the same problem where they're probably going to, or potentially run out of lots before the infrastructure's in to continue on to the next phase.
Any other questions, commissioners? Mr. Hall, then, are we considering a motion individually, one at a time for these? Is that the preference you asked us to?
Mr. Chairman, I think it would be cleaner to do that. Act on one item and then act on the next.
That I would entertain a motion on item D2, Horseshoe Bend number 6.
Mr. Chair, this is Corey Dean. I move to forward approval of the final plat for Horseshoe Bend subdivision number 6 to the governing body for acceptance of land to be dedicated for public purposes, subject to the conditions in the staff report below.
Second, Mr. Warner.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? This just seems pretty straightforward to me in the last parts of this subdivision in an area that is selling houses, and it seems like we need to continue to have some backlog for that need. So definitely makes sense to me. All right, hearing none others. Chris, will you please take the roll?
Okay, Mr. Warner,
Aye.
Ms. Ringler,
Aye.
Ms. Messina,
Aye.
Mr. Kalp,
Aye.
Mr. Kanar,
Aye.
Ms. Herron,
Aye.
Mr. Freed,
Aye.
Mr. Dean,
Aye.
and Mr. Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 9-0.
Chair would now entertain a motion for item D3, Horseshoe Bend number 7.
Mr. Chair, this is Mr. Dean. I move to forward approval of the final plat for Horseshoe Bend subdivision number 7 to the governing body for acceptance of land to be dedicated for public purposes, subject to the conditions in the staff report below.
This is
Chair.
Commissioner Ringler as second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Chris, will you please take the roll?
Mr. Armstrong,
Aye.
Mr. Dean,
Aye.
Mr. Freed,
Aye.
Ms. Herron,
Aye.
Mr. Kanar,
Aye.
Mr. Kelp,
Aye.
Ms. Messina,
Aye.
Ms. Ringler,
Aye.
and Mr. Warner.
Aye.
Motion passes 9-0.
Move to item E, communications to the commission, and acting planning director Dan Warner. The
I have a couple items. I don't know if the word got out for this yet, but there will be no July meeting. So, but definitely August. We've already had, I believe, at least 3 items come in. So we'll be gearing right back up. And then my other thing is we've updated the neighborhood health for Topeka. We presented to the governing body a couple weeks ago, and we'll give you a presentation on that at some point here in the future, if not August, maybe September. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any other items this evening?
Has there been any further discussion about if and when we're moving back to in-person?
I don't know. We've talked about letting that up to the board who is meeting. We've done that with other boards. Chris, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think last meeting, you guys were in agreement that you would meet on Zoom unless staff felt that, there might be a big crowd or something that we may need to meet in person. That is always the pleasure of the board and can change at any time.
I'll just add, Chris, that's actually covered in the minutes. So it's going to be on a month-to-month basis to decide whether or not to meet in person or not, which I think is pretty much what you just said.
Thank you.
Any other comments, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Cow?
to my understanding, do we need to make a decision tonight as to whether or not we have an in-person meeting in August, or is that something that somehow gets decided between now and then?
I don't believe you need to decide now. I think we'll get a better sense of caseload and who might be coming to that meeting and communicate with the commission at that point. I don't think you need to decide now. I mean, we're still a couple months out from that next meeting.
Very good. Appreciate your time, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.